Hello and welcome to another Minute with Matt. After a few months hiatus, I'm back, continuing my series of short Bible studies based on the book of Matthew. But I've decided to skip on to Matthew chapter 26. Verse 1 says, "Now it came to pass, when Jesus had finished all these sayings, that he said to his disciples, 'You know that after 2 days is the Passover, and the Son of Man will be delivered up to be crucified.'" That's quite a thing to tell the apostles. Passover's in 2 days, and I'm going to be crucified. Who knows what they were thinking at that moment? They thought he was speaking in a parable or something, because they didn't really seem to believe that this was what was actually going to happen. In verse 3 it says, "Then the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders of the people assembled at the palace of the high priest, who was called Caiaphas, and plotted to take Jesus by trickery and kill him." So these great religious officials are showing how close they are to God by plotting murder of someone who's done nothing but good. But they said, "Not during the feast, lest there be an uproar among the people." They didn't want to have an uproar among the people. Can't have that. So not during the feast. And when Jesus was in Bethany at the house of Simon the leper, a woman came to him having an alabaster flask of very costly fragrant oil. Very costly, cost a lot. More than most people make in a year. And she poured it on his head as he sat at the table. But when his disciples saw it, they were indignant, saying, "Why this waste? For this fragrant oil might have been sold for much, given to the poor." It's funny how you'll see people, if they see that a group that's trying to honor God with something, an expensive project, they'll talk about, "Oh, it should have been used to give to the poor. Should have been used to give to the poor." And that was said about the ark encounter that's in Kentucky, that Answers in Genesis made. All that money should be given to the poor. But they were making an outreach to honor Jesus, and in this case they're doing this. Another gospel says it was Judas leading this protest. But when Jesus was aware of it, he said to them, "Why do you trouble the woman? For she has done a good work for me. For you have the poor with you always, but me you do not have always. For in pouring this fragrant oil on my body, she did it for my burial. Surely I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as a memorial to you." At this very moment I'm fulfilling that, as have so many others before. What is worshiping Jesus worth? What is your worship worth? What is serving Jesus worth? Everything. It's just expensive stuff. Who knows what it cost exactly? You can look up in books where they say things, but the point is it was expensive, very, very expensive. But she's probably her life savings was spent on it, but she poured it all on Jesus, and it was for his burial. Because I'm going to give you a few spoilers. He's going to be crucified and rise from the dead before they can do that sort of thing for his body. The women who are coming on Resurrection Day to do that sort of thing for him will find that he is not here, for he is risen. But this was done to him. before that. Then one of the 12, called Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What are you willing to give me if I deliver him to you?" And they counted out to him 30 pieces of silver. So from that time, he sought opportunity to betray him. So, this is a sad thing. The biggest mistake that Judas would ever make. But Jesus was not surprised when he was arrested and crucified. He was not surprised by that. He knew it was going to happen. There are those who call themselves Christians, but teach that Jesus didn't need to die. That he was just an example. Yes, Jesus Christ is the greatest example we will ever have. But that isn't all he was. You see, the wages of sin is death. And someone had to pay the price for my sin. Someone had to pay the price for your sin. Jesus paid that price, and he knew he was going to do it. He went through it willingly, with eyes wide open. He was not surprised by it. He knew what was happening. But he chose to walk that road for you and me. He chose to go through all that for you and me. So we didn't have to pay the price for our sins. So we didn't have to go to hell. All we have to do is accept that sacrifice on our behalf. Romans 10:9 says that if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart God has raised him from the dead, you'll be saved. It's not some incredible difficult thing that we have to do. We don't have to crawl around the church on our knees. We don't have to make a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. We don't have to be crucified. We just need to confess and believe. He did that for us. And he knew full well what he was getting into before it happened. It was not a surprise to him. So, if you'd like to talk to us about this, we'd love to hear from you. There's a phone number, there's a email address, comments on this video. We'd love to hear from you. So I hope that this has been a blessing, and I hope that if you have not received Jesus into your heart, that you'll do it now. Today is the day of salvation. This is the most important decision of your life. So, till next time, walk with God. Hope this has been a blessing. Have a good week, and seriously, if you haven't received Christ, please do so. Go in grace.